everybody to the Village on the Green resident meeting of April 13th, coming to you from the Longwood Room at Village on the Green, and also being recorded on Channel 3 at this particular time. This meeting, among other things, we're dealing with a few new electronics here, and the meeting is also what we would call the second of the Chapter 651 meeting that we had a while ago. This one will cover financials and other things that we didn't have the information for at the last meeting. Pardon me?
I think you
got
two
feedback
mics
between your mic and what you.
I think the one on your.
You only can use one of those within a few feet of each other.
You'll probably just have to power one off or take that one down. We could probably just work.
Turn it off or?
Yeah.
Where's the turn on? Oh, here.
Well, when you do this, I'll just take the.
Take it away. So sorry, my apologies. As I say, we're dealing with electronics here. Now is it clear?
No.
Keep talking and keep it going.
Well, Vernon, maybe just give me that one back and I'll put this on. They're brand new letters.
Yeah, it's okay.
Is this thing
But
on?
it's saying low battery.
No, we just replaced the batteries.
I know, but it's saying low battery on it.
Okay, well, let's forget this. and use-
But it is working, so I can
Yeah,
hear
I
you.
think we can.
We can hear you on it.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
So I just hold it down here somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, anyway, let me continue. First and foremost, do we have newcomers today that we can welcome? They're all home watching it on Channel 3. The newest resident that I know of since we last met, who's moved to Village on the Green, is Elizabeth Lear in C216. And I believe she was moving in this week, last week, or, is moving in now. And the other thing I want to cover before we turn the meeting over to Vernon is we want to recognize the remembrances through the month since we last met. Linda Gottschall was mentioned last time at the resident meeting on the 8th of March. We lost Linda. She was a very, very new resident. And then since then, we've lost Elaine Adler, one of our older residents. That was on the 13th of March. Irene Lober, another long resident, on the 28th of March. Then on April 6th, Layla Borbeau, who was over in the health center. I believe they were among the first to move to the health center, she and her husband. And then Joanne Demaray on the 7th of April, and Don Frazier, Dr. Donald Frazier, just the other morning on the 11th. And of course, we will remember all of them probably forever, and loved each one in their own way. Before I turn it over to Vernon then, I just want to give a special thanks to Sue Popejoy for making the colorful posters for us to advertise this meeting. We're trying to make more of a splash so people are reminded. Now at this time, our other council business will be done later, and Vernon Sieber, our executive director, will give the report. Thank you, Vernon. Okay,
All right. And thank you, Ann. I appreciate that. But before I start, I'm going to change up the agenda just a little bit. I have Missy, who's our health center administrator, who will give us an update. Originally, she's got some interviews and some other stuff that she's doing, yay, to get us out of agency, which I'll talk about a little bit more. But I wanted to have her speak first, so thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I keep running over here. So, well, we are COVID still. We're 2 years into the pandemic. Can you imagine? 2 years ago, we were on 100% lockdown. No dining, no visitors, nothing. We have made a lot of progress in the last 2 years, and I'm very excited to report that currently the entire state of Florida is in the new CDC coloring of green, okay? However, we're starting to see A couple weeks ago, you saw the new variant of the Omicron, the Beta variant, starting to increase in Europe. And I think I've always said throughout this pandemic that the United States is about 3 to 4 weeks behind. So we're starting to see a small increase in positive cases, but not enough at this point to change our color coding. So we are still in the green as it stands right now, okay? When I'm reviewing the information from the CDC, we don't think that right now there'll be as big of a surge as the initial Omicron variant, just because almost everybody tested positive for the initial Omicron variant. So we really think that there's some substantial immunities as a population that will prevent this increase in the surge, okay? The federal government has now stated anyone 65 years or older, if they would like a second booster, so your fourth shot if you took the Pfizer and the Moderna, and maybe your second or third if you took the J&J, that we will have, that is now available to anyone 65 years and older. We will be having a booster clinic probably the first week in May. And I will post, I'm going to get with Rhonda so that we can start a sign-up sheet at the front desk. So I know exactly how many. We'll have it in this room, and myself and the other directors of nursing, Nikki, Jennifer, and Pam will be the ones administering those vaccinations. We no longer have to wait and try to coordinate with CVS and do all of that. All 4 of us are well-trained on how to administer the vaccine, so we can do that here locally. So if you put up a sign-up sheet, it'll probably be the first week in May, and I'll coordinate with Rhonda and Vernon to get the specific date. If you do not want to wait until then, please do not wait. If you want it, please go to CVS, Walgreens, Publix. They're all still administering those vaccines. But if you want it here and would like me to give you the shot, Vernon's way, he's the first one in line. It's one of the greatest joys as a nurse to be able to give her supervisor an injection on a yearly basis. So, other than that, please remember, wear your mask when you're not on Village on the Greens campus, because we are starting to see hand washing, physical distance when you're not on our campus. Encourage, if you think you have allergies, please let us know. Pam can come out. We can do a rapid, because the symptoms of this, the symptomology of this beta is truly just allergy type symptoms. Runny nose, watery eyes, a light cough. It's not the symptoms that we saw at the beginning of the pandemic. So a lot of people think, oh, I just have allergies, and it actually could be the beta variant of the Omicron COVID. So anyone have any questions? We're doing great. I'm so excited. We're doing phenomenal when it comes to team member and resident, when it comes to our COVID cases here at Village. So that's all. Thank you, and I'm going to run back.
Walk back. Thank you, Missy, again for taking the time. So I am not Sarah, but I'm going to give her a report. She was hoping that she'd be here, but she had an appointment this morning, but I have her numbers. Sarah's our sales director for our sales team here. I want to share some statistics with you from March. We were at 185 end of month with a 70.61% occupancy rate. We have a total of 66 total vacancies on the community as of right now. 47 new leads, and again, this will be part of your packets as well. I know I have a tendency to speak a little bit faster with these items. 47 new leads, we had 44 tours, 4 home visits, 4 deposits taken, and then we had 3 move-ins or closings. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're on campus yet, but these were ones that actually have signed and are going to be coming. We have Art and Sunny Fedrigon, Diana Rayburn, and then, as mentioned by Ann, Liz Lear is on that list as well. By the end of April 2022, by the end of April, we anticipate 0 closings in April, but the end of month, it looks like we're gonna be at 183 residents. Unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, we've had some that have passed or have transitioned to other places. Quarter 2, how every quarter is broken up, as you can imagine, we have January through March, and then quarter 2 being June, July, August, and so on and so forth. We're budgeted to have 8 move-ins, and right now, not even really just starting the beginning of quarter 2, we're actually at 8 move-ins. So we're looking really good. Budgeted move-outs, unfortunately, right now, based on what we have on our list, we're looking at about 6. And a total of pending move-outs scheduled is a total of 11. So for our budget, we have end of quarter, our census, we're looking at hopefully ending at about 188, which is about 72%. Now, this is still early on. We still have the rest of May and June. We've got a lot of different events coming up, but just wanted to give you the latest updates on where we were. We are moving in the right direction. Hopefully, we'll continue to put on events and do things and not close down the campus based on what COVID dictates for us. So again, those will be in your notes as well. And it truly is a pleasure to serve you. As I mentioned, my name is Vernon Ziegler. I'm the Executive Director here at Village on the Green, and going into month 9 now, and thank you for making me feel so at home. Really do appreciate it. One of the things that as a company we do is we do team member surveys, and we also have resident surveys. Back on the back table, if you have not seen it, when you leave today, there is this is also going to be in your door hangs. There's a form that's kind of encouraging you to take your resident survey. You can either take it online. If you have a phone, you can just scan the QR code. It'll pop up there. I know the question comes up, and there's just no easy way to distribute it to everybody here. It asks for your unique ID number. You can get that from Sue at the front office. She has the list, and you can just ask her what that is. Or if you complete the handheld survey, you can return it to her, and she'll make sure that she puts your ID on the form itself. So if you have any questions about that, again, please reach out, and we'll be able to answer those for you. You can also go on the web, and there's a website address that you can go on just to sign in and do your survey. We would appreciate it. Good, bad, ugly. We want to hear the information that you have to share. We take that information, and then I'll be sharing it at this meeting as well, whatever feedback we have. But please just be conscious of the fact we work very hard. There's some things that we can and can't control. So just make note of that as you are doing your resident surveys. Phase 3 is underway. We have pre-construction going on right now. We're knocking down walls and doing some other things to the old health center. We are on track, from what I've been told from our last meeting, to get our permanent permit on April the 15th. As you can imagine, that's just a couple days away, but I haven't heard any different. But everything has been submitted for that permit, so we are hoping to get that and have that in place moving forward. So the contractor themselves is DS Fritz, I believe is the name of the group that's going to be doing our contracting. And as we get closer to more of the items that need to be done that will be affecting the campus, we'll be meeting with the redevelopment committee and updating them weekly. Please look to the door hangs. We'll also be updating things as appropriate. I know Richard in the past has done videos. We're going to have that on Touchtown as well, so you can kind of see some of the construction and things that are going on for those that are interested in that. Also, a couple other things, the higher levels of living, as Missy had mentioned. As a community, we are doing really well. Independent living, as mentioned from the report, we are doing tours. We're trying to sign folks in to grow our community. The higher levels of living being our assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing stay pretty full. We're at 90 to 95% for the most part. And with that being said, we have a 38-bed capacity at our assisted living, an 18-bed capacity at our memory care, and again, we try to coordinate to where if any of our life care residents or folks that are on our community need places that we can manage that. We've already got a waiting list for people outside the community who want to be in one of those levels of living. And skilled nursing, as you know, is very transient, so we have a lot of residents that come from the hospital, patients that come from the hospital, go back to the community that we are also addressing that may need living like ours, more life care living. So we are trying to take advantage of all those as much as possible. As I had Missy running off, we have had multiple virtual job fairs. It really is a priority of mine to make sure that we are getting out of agency. And for those of you who are familiar with agency, those are contracted laborers who come into usually your higher levels of living to perform medication pass and things, but they're usually in one day and out the next. So as you can imagine, it's always better to have your own staff and your own employees there. We've had multiple on-site job fairs. We just actually had 2 virtual job fairs, one on April 5th and another one on April 6th. April 5th was a non-clinical job fair. We roughly hired about 7, 8 non-clinical staff, servers, housekeeping, those type of individuals. So we find them to be very useful for us. We also had a job fair specifically for clinical staff on April the 6th. Wasn't as successful, but that was our first one, so we're going to attempt to do several more. But we did hire 2 individuals from that. We're doing orientations as much as possible. And why this is so important to you as the residents is mainly we want to make sure that we're hiring qualified staff, and we're trying to do it at the right rate, get the right people that have the right mindset. And so we focused a lot also on a good orientation process when they come in. So there's multiple pieces to that. We also are planning another on-site job fair. We do have a new recruiter through home office that has been assigned to the Florida division. So I am very excited to see that we're going to have some relief come into where it won't only fall on human resources. We'll have another individual help us in getting good qualified staff. We've got sign-on bonuses in place right now. We've got some referral bonuses to help entice some qualified staff to come aboard. We'll also have a mailer that we'll be doing, a little postcard mailer within a 10-mile radius to some of the nurses, CNAs in the area to see if they would come and work for us here in Village on the Green. So we have some lofty goals, but we will get there, and I'll keep you posted along the way of that. So we do have a business after hours event. As I mentioned before, with COVID starting to rear its ugly head again, we are still trying to keep the community as open as possible, and part of that is holding events. So we are doing a business after hours event. We roughly have right now, the latest number was over 100 people that have RSVP'd to come to the event. That's from 5 to 7 tomorrow. What that looks like, just so you have a better picture, we're going to be parking residents. We have a contract with the DMV, which is a little ways down the road here, where we'll be busing in different visitors that particular day. Again, it's just that 5 to 7 period of time where it's a Paris theme. So we're going to have the Longwood room set up. We're going to have part of the Heron Club with some finger foods, and we're also going to have some areas in the pool area. So in that period of time, you're going to see some folks walking through that we're just going to be networking and mingling, because you never know how many people they're touching as well. So it's just very important that we share with them what we offer, and it really is a good opportunity for us to communicate with our community the different things that we're doing here. So I think sales has a great plan for that, and I'll be here for that event as well. So if you remember a while back, there was an issue that happened in the Sunrise, Florida area, Sunside, Florida, which was in the Miami area, where one of the buildings collapsed. I'm sure everybody remembers that from months ago in the news. And one of the things that LifeSpace was doing to be proactive was to make sure that we had some structural engineers come out on the property. I think it was a 2-day project where they kind of walked through the whole campus to make sure that we were safe and okay. I'm just going to go over some of the highlights of that report. I received that report recently here, and if anybody wants more details about that, I'll have that available to you to look at on a more specific level, but I just want to go over some of the highlights. So this executive summary, it was regarding the structural conditional assessment of the building structure at Village on the Green. This assessment was performed as a proactive measure by LifeSpace Communities to address concerns following the collapse of the Chaplain Tower South building structure in Surfside, Florida. The building structures at the above referenced address, meaning 505 and 515, are observed to be in good condition and are safe for their current use and occupancy. The observed elements of the primary structure system generally appears to be performing as intended with no visual signs of compromise, load carrying capabilities. So it sounds like we're in good shape. There are some minor things that they had pointed out to us that we want to do proactively, just like anything in Florida or anywhere else. Certain things, tension wires, structurally things start to disintegrate, so we want to make sure that we're being proactive. So the good news is we, as a community, are safe and sound. Nobody has to move. We're good. And so, as I mentioned, this was put on by the Jerzanek Group, was the name of the group that we contracted with, and I'll have the full report for anybody who would like to see that. We can set up an appointment to look at that. So wanted to share those with you. Also, in continuance from our 651 meeting from last month, one of the areas that I wanted to kind of touch base with you on was in regards to the financials. One of the areas that any community is looked at is what you do from the NOM area. What NOM is the net operating margin. To make it very simple, are you making more revenue than you're spending? So revenue versus expenses. To just keep it very simple. So if I refer to NOM, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Everything's based on different quarters. So right now, January through March, we've got I'm waiting for our final financial report, but I do a monthly review. I get a report from the corporate office or the home office every month, and what I do is I scrub those. I look at them to see where we can improve without, there's controllable expenses and non-controllable expenses. And just to keep it very simple, in January, the good news is we're heading in the right direction. In January, we roughly had a loss of about $47,000. That's, again, our revenue to expenses. That includes controllables, non-controllables, that's workers' comp costs. Those are other things that we necessarily can't control. February was pretty tough. We had roughly about a $284,000 loss, and I'm just talking about Village on the Green. One of the focuses that I really took into account that I noticed a lot when I was looking through our financials is that I find that a lot of our vendors have a tendency to bill us for things that didn't happen in the current month. So what I tasked my team with and me was to reach out to all our vendors to make sure that we caught up. What that means is that I had bills from 2019 that all of a sudden a vendor decided, hey, we never got paid on this, you need to pay this now. So I had to clean up a lot of our old billing cycles and things as well. So that was a little bit of a rough month. So with March just closing, the good news is we were only at about a $35,000 loss. And again, I know that may sound pretty alarming, but it actually isn't. Now that we've cleaned up our bills, we're trying to get agency eliminated and some of those other costs. I think we're trending in the right direction. Not to say we're always going to continue to meet our NOM, but you know, as a community, I kind of compare myself to what our other sister facilities are doing as well as what other organizations right now. And it's pretty common right now that people are actually budgeting for a loss. And that's what's sad about our day and age right now, is that everybody wants to have that positive income coming in, but we also know that with food costs, with fuel costs, with other items that are going on, how do you find that balance between really making sure that we are being wise stewards of the finances and the budgets we've got in our checkbooks? So we'll continue to work very hard. I'm always open to suggestion. Basil and the finance team have been very helpful in different suggestions that we can do, because the one thing that I don't want to do is cut our quality. Right now we have to deal with a lot of supply chain items, and I'm sure Chris will talk about that, but really focusing on trying to make sure that we are trying to stay above what the expectations are for our residents. So we are working on that. From the door hang, not last week, but the week before, you probably had seen a little slideshow or a cheat sheet on some of the costs that we are facing. I thought it was very important to share with you some of those costs, like chicken, for example, going up 12%, meat, certain other items going up. And one of the things as LifeSpace has, again, committed to, and all the communities are doing, is that unfortunately we had to put into place, when I say fortunately, it's part of our day and age now, we had to put into place a delivery charge. As I've had multiple conversations, probably 20 or so right now, and I'm sure there'll be more in regards to why that's in place. As of March 1st, we will have a $5 delivery charge. What that means is that basically if one of the staff members has to go and deliver to your particular apartment or villa, there will be a $5 charge per meal. So that doesn't mean, I'm just gonna use Mr. and Mrs. Abbas, if they do a charge and it's for both of them, I'm not charging them $10, it's $5 for delivery. Now, with that being said, I understand that there are certain circumstances that people can't meet that because of health issues, short term, hey, I just had surgery. Just communicate with me on a one-on-one basis and we can make the appropriate adjustments. That one thing that I do want to do is be fair, and you know, through the conversations that I've had, nobody's yelled or screamed or cussed at me, so that's always good. We've been able to talk it out. There are certain criteria that we need to talk about in order to make sure that, again, first of all, we have you in the right place. Secondly, how long are we looking at? Are there other alternatives that we can look at as well? So again, that'll take into account, that'll go into effect May 1st. If you want to have additional conversations, please get with me on the side. We'll definitely talk about that further, and I'll be as fair and consistent as I can with you in regards to that additional fee. So Spiritual Life Center, as you know, I don't know if Tom is still in here, if he popped out, but anyway, many of you have probably met Nancy Wolf, our VP of Philanthropy. Our Spiritual Center, which is part of Phase 3, is underway, and we're working very hard to raise funds for that. If you feel led, and if that's something that's important to you, reach out to the foundation or me, and we will definitely take that into account. As of right now, it looks like we've got roughly $115,000 that has been raised or put towards what we want for the Spiritual Life Center. With the cost continuing to rise, the number is really floating. We thought we really could get it to about $150,000 as a full project, but as things continue to change, we're looking more at the $200,000 range right now. With that being said, we're still going to be doing some fundraising. We're actually reaching out to some individuals who are prior residents here or have family members who had residence here at Village on the Green. We are reaching out to them as well if they would like to donate. So we are making some good headway in regards to that. So just want to give you an update in regards to our Spiritual Life Center. Let's see here. Some other updates that we have for you, and I'll try and wrap it up here. I know I'm taking up a lot of time, and I want to share some, I want to give some time to the rest of my team here. We are currently finalizing a permanent solution for our building drainage issue, as I've mentioned to several people in committees. As you probably noticed on a lot of the apartments, we have those planter boxes, and a lot of those planter boxes have been broken over the years due to sun, weather, and things. So we are working with an organization at a cost of roughly about $450,000, $475,000 to get those fixed. What that means is that we're going to be filling in those blocks with concrete, repainting, but we also know that we need to do something from the plant side. So we are going to have some other planters and things that we are going to be adding to that are going to be separate. But at least the good news is, with that being built in, that area where the planters are now, we won't have to worry about that bio growth coming down and draining onto the side of the walls and creating that ugliness and dripping down and possibly causing other issues for other residents and valued visitors as well. So that's one area. Also, the areas with the dead trees we've been addressing. We've been working with an engineering company to see what we can do about planting the right things there, getting that green again, whether that's putting some more sod, planting the right trees. So more information to come. That is just such a slow process. We're also working on the berm outside the main dining room. You can see the ponds there. One of those areas that looks like a pond is actually not. It's kind of a drainage area. So we're looking at creating some drainage so that we don't create any more of a bug issue than we need to. So those are some areas that we are working on. As we move forward as well, Richard, as I mentioned, our plan and environmental services, oversees environmental services as well, will be stepping into a different role with the organization. Elmer Knoll, also goes by Tony, has started his training. We sent him to another property to kind of go over the policies and procedures and things. He actually started this week. He'll be on property actually on the 18th, so I'm sure we'll be going around introducing him, but you'll be meeting him at different meetings as well. But he goes by Tony. But I'm very excited to have him aboard. Very experienced. I think we're very fortunate in that he'll be able to tap off of Richard's expertise of working with the campus as well. So we are looking forward to Richard coming aboard. We do have a couple of home office visitors that will be coming to the community this month. Just wanted to kind of bring that to your attention and also wrap it up with our board of directors that will be visiting. So on Wednesday, April 20th, Jesse and Nick, Jesse our CEO and Nick our CFO, Chief Financial Officer and Chief Executive Officer, will be here on campus to for a special meeting with the Finance Committee. We've had some, let's just say we've had some changes in the finance team. As many of you know, Gabe's no longer with us. There are several other team members who aren't with LifeSpace anymore. And so they're going to be meeting with the finance team to kind of review what our next steps are, how our reports are going to look, and those kind of things. So we are looking forward to seeing them on the 20th. Also on Monday, April 25th, the board of directors will be in Orlando. So the board of directors, I want to say I think it's made up of 15, 17 people, and some of our home office team members will be meeting on a site, off-site of Village on the Green for about 3 days to kind of finalize projects, different items, where's LifeSpace going over the next year. So they're going to be meeting, but with that, they're actually going to be coming to tour our community. We're going to have a social right here in the Longwood Room roughly around 5 o'clock, so you'll be able to meet and greet and mingle with the board of directors, Jesse, some other of our home office folks that you may or may not know. So just mark that on your calendar. More information will come in regards to that, but that is Monday, April 25th. We expect, not to go into too much detail, but we expect to pick them up from their hotel around 4. Around 3 o'clock, they'll be on campus around 4 o'clock. I was going to tour them of the community and hopefully have them back here about 5 o'clock to mingle for about an hour, 5 to 6. And from 6 to 7:30, they're going to have dinner over in the dining room over here as well. So some of you may see them over in that area. So just wanted to give you the heads up on some of the upcoming items that are going on. So again, thank you for your time. I'll be around for questions. I can answer any now if you have any. Otherwise, I'll be sticking around. Well, actually, I won't. I'll be around for a couple minutes afterwards before you go into your meeting, and I'll be here the rest of the day if you have any questions. So anything for me? Hey,
Just
Mrs.
one
Buss.
quick question.
Sure.
We have talked previously about the card room in phase 3.
Yes.
Is there any plan, you had suggested that you would talk to the contractors. It's very small, and I know a lot of people came to you and suggested that we need something larger. Is there any plan to do anything about that?
Yeah, Mrs. Boss, that and the library were two areas that I've gotten a lot of information back. I have sent all that information to Russell. He is aware of it. I don't have an answer for you right there, but they are definitely aware of some of our concerns from the Village on the Green. I kind of paraphrased some of the information for them, but it's definitely going to be a consideration. I know that when we get to this point, there's certain things that they can still adjust to and to make some changes of, but I don't want to promise anything, but they have been communicated with. So I'll continue to do so and we'll follow up.
What was she asking about? We couldn't hear her. Yeah.
The card room and making it bigger on phase 3.
Vern, you didn't mention your community app.
What's
Oh,
that?
excuse me, your community map.
Oh, God, I did not mention the community map, and thank you for reminding me. So one of the things we are working, there's so many different projects we're working on. I tried to really summarize it in. So for those of you who have been to Disney or Busch Gardens, I like being from the Tampa area, a lot of times you get that map that you can pull out that really shows you where the rides are. It's pretty detailed. It kind of gives you a list. We are working on a map similar to that, with our community being 80 acres and with the new villas and a lot of the other items that we have. We're actually on draft number 2 of that. I've actually sent that to a couple of residents as well to review and help us with. So just so you know, I think that'll really help with new residents that come in, visitors who come in. It's going to be labeled with the main road where the villas are, A, B, C, D, apartment buildings. So we are in the works of getting a really nice map for our community as well. So thank you for reminding me of that. So.
Is the video that he being Richard did in the home health center online yet?
Yeah, it is, yes. And is it?
Clubhouse videos.
Clubhouse, yeah.
Repeat the question, please.
What's that?
Repeat the question.
Oh, yes, Deb, in regards to the, what we were talking about with the phase 3 and some of the demolition and stuff, I think Steve was asking if, the video was up on Touchtown yet, and it is. It's up on Touchtown if you want to go to the,
Clubhouse videos, and maybe
Club-
we need a
yeah.
separate app just for phase 3 updates, maybe
Yeah.
I'll create an app just for
Okay.
that, if there's news there, I can do that.
sounds good, very good. So we'll make it, try and make it even more user-friendly, so thank you. Yes, hey, Mr. Dillon,
I need clarification
okay,
on the $5 per meal delivery charge.
yes.
If you order 2 meals
Mhm.
for the same evening,
Mhm.
is it $5 or $10?
Yes, it's $10.
$10
Yeah, it's per meal.
per meal.
So if you have a delivery at breakfast, if you have a delivery at lunch, if you have delivery at dinner, that would be $15.
Okay, thank you. The second question is, I didn't catch the number of vacancies that you say we have.
Yeah. Currently, right now, we're at 66 that are not accounted for.
Thank you.
66, yes. Thank you, I appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Richard. Yeah, Richard, thank you.
Hey folks, good morning. So with that, you'll see the videos for phase 3 coming out, so you get to see my mug a little bit more on TV. I'll make sure that I get my picture every once in a while so y'all don't miss me around the community. But I'm sure that even though Tony will be in here making presentations and stuff to you, that I'll still be around and be seeing everybody. Still going to be involved in what's going on. I'm not going anyplace yet. I'm only 63, so I got 2 more years before I even think about retiring. So a lot of interesting things going on still. We took the opportunity on the planter bread project to go ahead. Dino wanted to save the plants, and we weren't sure the contractor was going to be taking them out in our best interest, and we didn't want them all to be tossed on him at one time. So we went ahead and took out the plants from the planter beds, and they were reused. We landscaped the gazebo, so you'll see that project up there. We got that pretty much filled in. Now the next thing up there will be pavers that we'll be working on. And I also used them around some of the courtyards, so you'll see some improvements there that Dino was working on. He's done a great job on that, filling that in, so he's been taking care of that. We also have a permit pending for the carport and walkway repairs, so those holes that we see where it rains in every once in a while when you're walking down the walkway or where the cars are parked in the carports. That's a pretty big project. It's almost a $90,000 project to fix some more of those areas. Each one of the apartment buildings has plenty of them, so we'll be starting, I believe, down at A building and working our way up this year. And that project is just waiting on Seminole County to give us the permits so we can get going on it. And I have the irrigation supplies now on hand for the butterfly garden. So we're going to be doing that next week. I was planning on doing it this week, but I couldn't get a trencher. So apparently there's more shortages than just food and everything out there, because a lot of companies are not wanting to buy equipment now, so they're renting equipment more. So it's becoming harder to get equipment just to use it for a couple of days. So we'll be working on that next week. Also, the painting of the roofs, the carports and the buildings, we're moving from the clubhouse, which we're finishing up today. All the parapet wall roofs around this building and the old health center have now been touched up and painted. They're doing their fine detailing today. They're doing the ceiling, putting the clear coat over it. They're going to be moving down to C building tomorrow. So notices have already been out that we're going to be working on the carports. They'll work their way down. After that, we'll notify B building. We'll work down to those carports and those walkways, then we'll work down to A. And then once we've finished all of that, we will start coming back up on the larger 3-story buildings on the apartments, because that takes a specialized lift. So we're going to do all of those at one time as we finish the project up. So we'll notify you as quickly as we can. I'll try to do it more than a day or two in advance if I can. I'm going to try to get them to do a better job at giving me notice so I can tell you what's going on. So we'll be looking at all of that. And I believe, let's see, I'm just looking to see if I have anything else. I'm still working with phase 3. getting things cleaned up and out of their way. And I will give you another update, and it would be nice, I was actually found it on the app under Clubhouse pictures or Clubhouse videos. But we might want to make a project one, and just so we'll have those updates. And that also where I can do updates on the planter boxes when we start them and things like that. So that might be a good thing to have. So, okay, and I think that's it. Just bear with us as we move everybody around on A, B, and C building when we get down there on all that parking that we're going to have to adjust for the carports. And y'all up at D, E, and F can just kind of say, aha, now y'all get to deal with all the parking situations. So, I think that's it. But is there any questions? Be glad to answer them. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I keep getting questions about the butterfly garden. And all I can tell people is soon.
Yep.
They're really getting tired. They're really tired of the
Yeah.
black plastic.
Okay.
And the only thing that I hear is the irrigation will be soon. When is soon?
Well, I just said that basically the problem was getting a trencher. All the material is on site.
Okay.
And so we're prepared next week. I'm looking at probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, we'll start doing the trenching. You'll see us out there working on it.
That's great, because it should be time for planting now, so
Yeah.
everybody's keen to get going.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
Once the butterfly garden is planted and all, will there be a way for residents who can't walk out there to actually get dropped off by a cart to visit and enjoy it?
We can work on that. I'm sure we can have some scheduled runs out there. Yeah, we can probably, that'll be, we'll get with transportation and see what we can work with that, so. Okay. All righty, folks. Thank you. Chris?
All right, good morning. So previous couple meetings I've come with a big laundry list. I actually don't have a lot of updates today, so it's good for the sake of time. One of the things that I wanted to start off with is our new servers and a lot of the training that they are going through. Aside from just the basic training that we have put them through to become servers, we've put increased attention over the past couple of months on having them trained with not only just life space, grooming, and hygiene procedures, but to actually be in compliance with state hygiene compliances, which are a little bit higher and more rigorous than what your general standard office would be held to. On top of that, they've also started going through processes of getting their safe food handler certifications that they will carry with them for multiple years, even after they go off to college. And then same thing with a whole bunch of our cooks in the kitchen as well. Cleaning projects, the whole 9 yards. So I can officially say that as of an hour ago, we had a health inspector here on property and passed with flying colors in our independent living kitchen. So it's definitely paying off for all of our team to be up to date and on top of making sure that you're all staying safe and everything is clean and hygienic in our kitchens. While we're on the conversation of the servers, we are approaching that sad time of the year with them where we're currently in prom season, so they're going to be requesting off a lot more, and you might be seeing a little bit less of them. Then we're going into graduation season, and come May and June, some of our favorite faces that we see in the dining rooms are probably going to be leaving us. We'll make sure to kind of keep everybody abreast of who's taking off and when they're leaving, and make sure that they come back and visit when they can. But we're also stressing the importance with all of our incoming new faces to build those relationships with you that the previous generation has spent the past year or two developing as well. Those seniors are really making it a big effort to, behind the scenes, to communicate everybody's personalities, their likes, their dislikes. Nothing bad is being said, so don't worry about that, but they're all just talking about, oh yes, that's my favorite table. I have them every single night, and they really want to kind of build that relationship with all of you moving forward. We did have, as Vern said, a very successful job fair where we brought in, I think 5 more servers in one day, plus 3 more that came in for separate interviews that couldn't make it to the job fair. So in process right now, we have another 8 additional, I don't want to call them all kids, there are a couple that are a little bit older coming in, but we seem to have a pretty good supply chain of servers coming back into the workforce. So knock on wood that trend continues. On that note, keep on filling out those comment cards about the level of service that you're receiving from all these new faces, so that way we can continue to work with them, see if there might be some challenges that we need to continue to educate them on, or if they're doing a great job, we want to hear about that. And then continue with the feedback. Some of the feedback that we've had, for example, in relation to the grab and go, Chef George has reached out and is getting a novelty ice cream cooler coming in to offer novelty ice cream bars in our grab and go Heron Club area, just because we have so many comment cards coming in saying this would be a great idea, we should have this. Additionally, he is going to be rolling out a few more sandwich options and a few more other small items in that grab and go to expand off of what we had originally envisioned for that space. So if there's something that you would like to see in that area, again, please write it down, send me an email, talk to Orlando, talk to the team about things that you might want to see in that area. As we go into the spring season, next week we are rolling out our spring 4-week cycle menu, spring and summer, for the health center. And so we're going to be taking a look at some of those items and what looks really good, what the residents really like, and incorporating them into updating some more spring and summertime options over here in independent living as well. We had the Pascal Florida Day on the first day of the month, and I received a lot of feedback of people enjoying particularly the shrimp dish and the pork dish that we had that night. So those are items that they're more spring and summery type feeling. We're gonna try and roll over and incorporate more of those into the menus that you see in independent living. But I do wanna take an opportunity to kind of go over a little bit of the economic situation that we're in, just to provide more context. I understand the frustrations in the community of constantly hearing, oh, we're out of this, we don't have this, we're gonna change this today, this is a substitution. The March inflation report came out, and that said that there was a 8.5% increase in consumer price index. Gasoline prices year over year are up 48%. The cost of food over the past year is up 12.5%. There are currently 11 million vacant jobs in the country, and according to the American Trucking Association, about 100,000 of those are vacant truck driver jobs. And the reason that I bring this up is that is what ultimately creates these shortages that we experience. Outside of the chicken market, which is a separate conversation, there really isn't a national shortage of one or any particular item. It's more so what gets put on the truck, what is a high priority item, and what's not. I keep on using the example of Coca-Cola because they're just an easy example to use, but if they used to send 10 trucks to the local warehouse, and now with lack of truck drivers and increased gas prices, they're only sending 5 trucks, they're loading that up with their best sellers, Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, and they're not putting on tonic water and Diet Ginger Ale, which requires us to try and get up to Publix as often as we can to go buy those items. But it does create that type of shortage where we place an order and then we get our invoice in and 26 items are listed as out of stock on that order. Cisco, who we currently use as our food supplier, is actually leading the industry with an 89% fill rate, which means 11% of what we are ordering is probably not going to come in. And that's good considering that US Foods is down in the low 80s, and I think Airmark is somewhere in the mid 80s as well. So it's happening across the board. What we're trying to do in response to that is align our menus a little bit more. You might see some items kind of more frequently. Side dishes appear maybe twice on the same menu cycle because that's the produce or side dishes that we can obtain. We want to make sure we have them available for you. To be good stewards of the money of the community, and I give a lot of credit to Michael Patrick for this. He really has dug into the pricing and discovered some little quirks. I'll use the lemons as an example. If he orders lemons by the dozen, they cost him 90 cents per lemon. If he orders lemons by the case of 200, they cost him 20 cents a lemon. So if he orders 50 in the cases of dozens, he can order a case of 200 for less than that, dollar-wise, and throw out the other 150 and save all of you money, which doesn't make any sense. We don't want to be throwing out food, even with the cost variable. So what they're trying to do is that they might order more things in bulk to get a better cost savings, so that way we're not trying to reduce the quality or we're not cutting back options on the menus. But it might mean that you see green beans appear 2 or 3 times on the same menu cycle because we had to order in a lot of it to get that cost savings. Whenever I mention the chicken, the other thing that they do with us is they do what they call substitutions. If our preferred brand of chicken breast is out of stock due to the supply chain issues, they will substitute what they have available. And I think that's kind of been our biggest challenge, is getting some quality chicken pieces that are coming in here. So Chef is currently looking outside at some other boutique vendors to see what we can do about fixing that, because that seems to be a lingering problem. I actually think that checks off everything that was on my short list.
It could constitute a meal. You may want to touch base.
And that's the other thing that was coming down from our LifeSpace team, was that across the enterprise, they're really trying to bring everything in line for these cost-saving measures of what constitutes a meal. The excellent thing is that our community has really always kind of defined what is a meal, so there's not really going to be changes that you might hear at other communities. The big thing is that, as it's always been, you see it on your to-go menu option up at the top corner, where it says that your meal consists of the soup and salad, appetizer, entree, 2 sides, and a dessert, and a beverage, and that's what constitutes a meal credit. They are just kind of reinforcing that point of, it's not multiple desserts. I'm going to have 5 extra pieces of fruit. Can you throw 3 milks and 6 cookies into my bag for me? This community has been really good about understanding that, but I guess at some of our sister properties, they were just kind of willy-nilly giving away food, and it was creating quite a spike across the enterprise in food costs. So that communication is going to be sent out, but nothing has really changed as far as our policies go. I just want nobody to be alarmed whenever that comes out in the newsletter to say, here's what constitutes a meal. Nothing is changing. Keep on ordering the way that you order. We just want to make sure that that was clarified, because it is an enterprise-wide system that's being addressed. That's all I have. Yes, sir.
Especially now with the new service coming on board, is it possible to make sure that they have their name tags? Matter of fact, I would suggest that they have at least 2. One that they usually forget when they're coming in, and the other one here that stays here so they pick it up before they start serving. So we know how to address them instead of saying, hey, you.
That actually is a great idea, because I honestly, ever since I've been here, I felt that big name tag, that big bulky name tag, I understand the purpose of it. It's good to have their names be big and visible and their pictures on it, especially whenever we were in the pandemic and everybody's in masks. But I like the idea of having a backup, maybe like one of those little pin ones there that we can interchange the name.
I don't care if you print it. You know.
Well, exactly, and that way if we have a stock of those on hand, if they forget their name tag, we can just hurry up, type in their name, print it, stick it on. I like that idea. That's a good suggestion. You both went at the same time.
This is kind of a silly one, but pre-COVID days, we used to be able to come in, and there were always pots of coffee where we could get a cup of coffee. And especially this morning I came in, I was hoping to get some coffee before the meeting, And there was nothing in the Heron Room, nothing anywhere. And I finally saw Orlando, and he did go to the kitchen and get me a cup of coffee. But I was wondering, is that something that we can work toward bringing back?
Prior to, so they had like coffee, basically like a coffee station with like the urns and everything?
Right.
Yeah, well, no, they were just the brew cups. Brew pots were by the station in the old dining room. And we could just come in and help ourselves. Cups were there, whatever we needed. And that was nice before a meeting, to be able to come in and grab a cup of coffee.
Very helpful.
The Heron Club has got that machine
But we can't,
all the time.
Yeah, but it's behind the bar, you can't access it and everything, so that is, again, another easy suggestion that absolutely we can get that back up and running.
couldn't we have an office-style Keurig sort of a thing, where you just pull out your little pod and put it in, and
I'll look into that.
does that have to be?
She was asking about a Keurig style machine that you would get in the offices. I would have to look at the cost of those little pods and everything, because
Yeah.
those tend to be a lot more, more expensive.
Is that more expensive?
Oh, yeah, those little ones are, my wife goes through a bunch of them in there.
But it's the self-serve capacity that we
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know, I mean, because David's running back and forth from,
Yeah, I like the self-serve idea of what we had prior to the pandemic,
Right.
so that's good to know since I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, we can absolutely get that set up again.
Could you please reconsider putting sorbet on the order list? It's been out and hasn't been ordered in several months. Low-cal and non-milk alternative. Thank you.
Absolutely. That was a low-calorie sorbet that probably suffered the same plague that we had, which is why we went to Hershey for our ice cream, with Cisco not being able to provide us with that. So we'll reach out to Hershey and see what they have available, and if not, try and find something else to have a low-calorie sorbet option.
By the way, clarify, Hershey chocolate and Hershey ice cream are two different companies.
Yes,
Okay.
same subsidiary, but yes.
No, they're not related at all. They just happen to both be in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I thought they were under the same umbrella
Oh,
corporation. Oh, I learned something new
that's
today.
interesting.
Yeah, I always thought they were under the same umbrella, similar to how Coke and Minute Maid are two different companies, but underneath the Coca-Cola portfolio.
They're separate, and they've been fighting each other since the 1800s.
That is.
Coffee is always available in the Heron Room. Maybe some people don't know that. Behind the bar where the little machine is,
Yes,
you can always get a cup of coffee back there.
the challenge with that is that if David or whoever the morning bartender say he's serving a table in the Palm Court and he's not back there, technically by our liquor license, nobody should be walking onto that white tile, because then you're officially behind a bar area and it's out of compliance with our liquor license. But they do have that always available if somebody is manning that area. But I think what we're looking for is that whenever David's not there, we don't have to wait around and wait for somebody to come get you a cup of coffee. You can come up and get it out of the urns. So it's just another avenue. We'll still have that machine back there, but more options for people. All right, so I don't know if Rhonda, if you were up next.
Okay, good morning. I am Rhonda Katie, your Lifestyle Director, and I just want to go over a few of our events we have coming up to round out the month of April. Today at 2 here in this room, in the Longwood Room, our Rehab Care Center from the Health Center from the Oaks will be here, just to give some information and overview on the services that they provide, and they will also be serving smoothies. So if you want to stop by today from 2 to 3 here in the Longwood Room, they'll be here for that. 5 o'clock tonight, we have Bobby Tate dinner music in the dining room, so he will be playing there in the Palm Court. Friday night is our Passover Seder. That starts at 5 o'clock, so you do need to sign up for that if you haven't already at the hostess station. Excuse me. Saturday, Isabella will be hosting dinner and a movie. Our movie is Mamma Mia, and we will have a Greek-themed menu, so if you haven't already signed up for that at the front desk. Sunday is Easter, so we have several different, Chaplain Tom has several different services for Easter. We have our sunrise service at 7 a.m. at the pool. At 10 a.m., there will be a service over at the Oaks. And then at 11 a.m., our resident Barbara Kuhn, Reverend Barbara Kuhn, will have a service here in the Longwood Room at 11 on Sunday for Easter service. On Monday, our fitness lead, Treva McGowan, has a lunch and learn. It'll be here in this room. Her topic will be Tai Chi, the many benefits of Tai Chi. So if you'd like to stop by for that, join us for that. You can sign up at the front desk. Also, on the 20th, we have our dinner dance, April in Paris theme on April 20th at 5 p.m. You do need to make your reservations at the hostess station for that. April 21st is the birthday party, so if you have a birthday in April, you're welcome to join us and celebrate the birthdays. The 27th, we are delighted to have Harry Lowenstein speak for us, his Inspiring Journey. That is a sales and resident event, so we are expecting a big turnout. So we're going to be, with Harry's permission, we will be recording that and replaying it later. That'll be at 2 o'clock on April 27th. On April 28th, we have another bus going over to the beach for a beach day. So we did fill up the last bus, but we had lots of cancellations because the weather took a turn for the worse, but we still had fun. So we'll go again on April 28th if you'd like to join us for that. And on April 30th, Saturday evening at 7, we have the Barbershop Quartet from Orlando Harmony, which will have a concert for us here in the Longwood Room. So that's all we have for the rest of April. So any questions for me?
What about the barbecue?
The barbecue.
Barbecue luncheon? There was one.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, that's next Thursday. Oakwood Barbecue, or it's Oakwood Smokehouse in, I believe that's Eustis. So I think we have a full bus for that. So if you'd like to sign up to be on the waiting list, we usually have cancellations. So that's next Thursday, the 21st. So anything else for me? No? Okay. Back to you or back to back to Mrs. Blair. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. Can you all hear me? Yes. I'm just going to do this. Let's see. Vernon covered just about everything that I had on my list that I wanted brought out. I'm going to quickly, time is getting away from us here. I'm going to quickly go over what happened at the resident council as soon as I find it. The first order of business at the council was to open the discussion about Stan Goldstein's proposal to the Foundation Advisory Committee for a Village on the Green Veterans Memorial Bench. After the discussion and a lot of questions, the resident council gave a verbal vote of approval. It took a long time, a lot of questions back and forth, but we gave a vote of approval and I signed the document for the Foundation Advisory Committee. Some of this discussion had to do with the timing, the expense, the usual things, but it was voted to be affirmative. I wanted to note that the pain management lecture yesterday that Dick Altman arranged was very, very well attended. And again, we're trying extremely hard to promote and advertise. We were finding that our communication is lacking. And so it was nice to see it being well attended. And I thank everybody who did attend. It was very informative. I think Richard Vernon talked about the library and also the card room. Dee Valiette is very unhappy about the library, and so that is, as you know, under discussion. Now, the Neighbor to Neighbor Committee, I told Al I would go through what occurred. He indicated that the buddy system that the Neighbor to Neighbor Committee has is meant to help new residents get used to what goes on at Village on the Green community, in addition to what the building reps do. Everybody has their little area of helping. And also the question and answer, the Q&A team, which is part of Neighbor to Neighbor, also helps with getting out information periodically that helps people. The current hosted Pineapple Table, which is Monday and Wednesday, twice a month, also does this. And then an unhosted table has been added on the remaining Wednesdays. Wednesday has turned out to be kind of a difficult day because there are an awful lot of social committee events on that day. So they might, I think they're going to have a private meeting, you know, a committee meeting to discuss maybe moving the day to somebody some other time, and they'll let us know about that. The culinary, there was a suggestion that we find a way to advertise the activities in the dining room better, and the most successful way we've ever had is to have cards on the table of events that remind you that, oh, by the way, when you finish dinner at 7 o'clock, there's something going on in the Longwood room you may have forgotten. Up till now, we've not been allowed to do that. Unidyne did not like the idea of the table having cards on it. But we're going to try to address that again and push it a little more, because that really truly has proven to be our best way to communicate. There was, well, let's see now. Basil, do you want to give your talk now? And then I'll come back to some of the other things.
Thank you very much, Ann. Can you all hear me? I want to talk to you for a few minutes about Brady Wilkins. But before I get to Brady Wilkins, I want to say a word about this finance meeting that takes place a week from today with the CFO and the CEO of LifeSpace. This is a very unusual happening. This probably hasn't happened in, 1 or 2 times in 10 years, but the management of LifeSpace today is more open than they've been since I've been there. The meetings of any committee are open to the community. Now, we won't have time for any participation on the part of observers, but I'd like to invite the committee, any of you that have an interest, a financial background, that might even consider serving on the finance committee, to come in here that day as seats are available and observe the president, CEO, and the CFO of LifeSpace. That's a unique opportunity, and so say the room will probably be set up like this. The committee will sit up front, but our meetings are always open. And if you'd like to come in and hear what goes on, and I have an ulterior motive because we're always looking for talent to serve on the finance committee, and so that might be an open avenue for you if you wish. Now back to Brady Wilkins. You might have seen or even received a package that looked like that from me, and I've been going around because for 2 years we've been under lockdown, as Missy pointed out a little while ago. So people have moved in without really being introduced properly to the Brady Wilkins. We used to do it mostly at villa and apartment building meetings, but that's been on ice for a number of years. So I've been identifying the newer members of the community and sending you a letter with 2 documents in it. One document is the history of Brady Wilkins and tells you how it came to be here. Where did it come from and why? And how has it functioned? The second one is that currently the Brady Wilkins Scholarship Fund, which is entirely funded by residents, including its operation, is a fund of the Central Florida Foundation. It's a long story how it got there, but it's been there about 4 years, and we're really satisfied with what we get. But there's been a few issues that I want to cover with you if I can. First of all, though, if you get one of these, or if you want one of these, if you feel like you don't understand exactly why it's here, I'm going to be at the back of the room after we finish, and I'll be glad to either give you one or arrange for you to have one. Let's get back to the donations. This year so far it's not so hot. Our donations for the first quarter of this calendar year are lower than they've been for 3 years. So we're right now very excited about getting back in business here after a pandemic. We have 2 programs. One is called a Friends and Family Program. Often, as we lose members here, anybody who's been here long at all knows that we lose our residents. We're a senior group, and it's a sad time for all of us. Many times, families and friends wish to memorialize the party who has died with donations. And sometimes it becomes very difficult for us to identify who made that donation so we can recognize it, and also recognize the family of the person who's being honored. So we do have that capability, and we have a particular form that tells how to do that. It's a way that tells you how to make out the check. Number 1 issue is the checks for donations to Brady Wilkins have to be made out to the Central Florida Foundation and marked for the Brady Wilkins Scholarship Fund. And we've got instructions that cover that. I'll make sure they're available out on the wall because it's in our best interest. But right now I've got a number of people I'm trying to run down and find out who we should mail the items to. So if you can help me with that, I'd very much appreciate it. We also have individual cards that are made out for in memory of. Let's say you're going to an event here or at a church, and you want to express your sympathy to the family of a resident who's passed. You can simply, for a minimum donation of $25, you can put that in the sympathy card that you're giving to the family. We also have things for birthdays and anniversaries. So instead of in memory of, we may have it for in honor of. And so we got both of those. Faggy Coleman, Dodie Flum, we're glad to help you acquire those cards if you need them. The final thing is the upcoming event. We have what's been billed in the past as a graduation event. Chris talked about the replacement of servers. It happens every year here. But in June 4 is the date this year, we will have a graduation event where we actually ask the graduates put on their cap and gown, and those of them that have been selected for a scholarship will be awarded that scholarship at that evening meal. So I wanted to make sure you could mark your calendars for that, because it's really a good way to observe what Brady Wilkins has really done. In short, I'll summarize it by saying this was always the initiative of residents. It's fully funded by resident slave labor like myself and others in this room. but we're very happy to do it because it's great to give the scholarships, but it also has been a community builder here from its inception to today. And I want to continue that legacy as best I can. That's my comments. Thank you very much, Ann, for your time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. One of the other presentations that was planned for today was through Gene Walker, who wanted to talk about FLICRA. Gene was simply unable to make it here today, and I saw her dinner last night, and I told her that I would say something on behalf of FLICRA, because FLICRA is extremely important to every single one of us. It's just a little paragraph. FLICRA is an advocacy group, and what it stands for is the Florida Life Care Residents Association. It's the only organization in Florida founded by, run by, and devoted exclusively to serving the interests and protecting the financial investment of residents strictly of continuing care retirement communities, such as Village on the Green. FLICRA does this by working with our state legislature to strengthen the laws which serve and protect us, mainly within the Florida Statute 651. Now, you've heard us mention 651. The authority granted under Chapter 651 recognizes that Village on the Green did organize itself under the name of Village on the Green Resident Association, and through its resident council, communicates with management on matters of administration, living conditions, finances, and operations of Village on the Green according to set bylaws. So this is our structure, and it all comes through us, this way. FLICRA has over 13,000 members from at least 50 Florida communities. Those figures may be a little dated. And it includes almost everyone at Village on the Green. And that's well over 200, I believe their roster is at the moment. The first year dues, which are $22 for a single person and $37 for a couple, are paid for you when you come to Village on the Green. The first year is paid. And we encourage every single resident to continue that membership in this important advocacy group. And as I said, Jean Walker is the current 2022 chair of the FLICRA committee. I also wanted to say that Village on the Green was one of the first. If I didn't mention that, we were one of the very first FLICRA associations, and I think we're one of the largest. So thank you very much for that. Continuing with the council meeting, one of the other little discussions had to do with that internal emergency graph that went out to everybody, to building reps to help in case of hurricanes and emergencies. And it's an adjunct to the hurricane manual. We have the 2021 one, and the 22 will be coming out. Hurricane season, I guess, starts in June, so it'll be coming out pretty soon. However, there was too much verbiage, and there were some things that were deemed not really building rep duties. And so we're going to edit that and come out with another one that maybe will satisfy people a little bit better. Now for our building representative reports. The Building A party, that's Sue High. The Building A party is on April 13th, and one piece, I think they've just gotten some more of their lounge furniture with 2 end tables due in May, so eventually they'll get it all. Sandy Shantini represented Leo Smith at the council meeting, and he's in good health, or getting better, and returned from the hospital to the health care for therapy the other day. Della McGarahan reported that the building party is going to be on April 29th. Ron Hoffer's building party in Building E is on April 22nd. Sam Peck for Building F. There's a picnic planned on April 23rd, poolside. And Dr. Abbas indicated at his last Villa meeting he had 15 residents and 2 speakers, one from the health center to go over some of the expenses, and also Basil for Brady Wilkins. And he also pointed out that Doug and Joyce Richardson have moved in, and I believe that was just this past week. So they are here now, and that's at the end unit that used to be occupied by Joyce Togweiler. Let's see, the Passover dinner has been announced. At the end of our meeting, Charlie Madge, who is a resident of the assisted living over at Oaks, where did I put this? Oh, he thanked everyone at Village on the Green for making his life better. I thought that was a nice way to end that meeting. Our next resident council meeting will be on May 5th, and It'll be followed the following Wednesday after that for the resident meeting, this type meeting, and that'll be on May 11th. And I believe that's all to report. I thank you very much. Are there any, oh, excuse me, are there any questions from anybody?
Move for John.
Well, then we are finished. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Bye.